Hi there, this is a quick video of how you can obtain your SA302 and your tax year overview documents from your online digital tax account. This is mainly going to be for people that do tax returns, like the self-employed, landlords, etc., because often you will need these documents to present to people. So the SA302 is basically, in its simple format, is a calculation of how your tax is arrived at. So it's a mixture of PAYE income, self-employed income, rental income, interest, dividends, and anything else you might have that is taxable, whether it's taxable at zero rate or there's an allowance, or if it's taxable at basic standard rate, higher rate, additional rate tax. It's all on this SA302. Okay. What I want to try and do is make you self-sufficient so you don't have to go bothering an accountant somewhere or an advisor that might cost you money. Okay. So, as I said, the SA302 is basically a calculation of how your tax bill has arrived at. It used to be issued by the taxman, so they used to issue it once you had submitted a paper tax return. They will still issue it if you do a paper tax return. That comes through to you, but most people now are doing online tax returns. They can still issue them, as I say, but if you do want an SA302, then you might have to wait anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks in order to get one. And when you phone up to ask for it, sometimes they're not that happy about it, because they turn around and just say you can get this yourself from your online digital tax account or ask your accountant. But they can do it. They can send it to you. Most of the times when you need this is when you are applying for a mortgage. So if you're self-employed, that's the first thing a mortgage broker and a mortgage company want to look at, is what has your income been for the last potentially 2 or 3 years. This is their starting point, and then sometimes they also want an accountant to complete an accountant certificate, and all the accountant's going to do is verify that, yes, this was your income. They'll check the backup as to how to get to your SA302, and they'll issue the certificate on the back of what's on the 302. It costs you money, of course, because that's what accountants do. It's also relevant for people going into rented property, as tenant referencing agencies also like to have either an accountant's reference or sight of the 302. Now, what's really annoying is they also ask for the tax year overview. Never really understood why they want this, because all it says is what your tax is for that year, and then it would say whether you've paid it or not. And sometimes, if you've only paid half of it because you're on a payment on account, it looks like you haven't paid your tax bill, but the rest of it isn't due. The trouble with the tax year overview, if HMRC changes your tax return for any reason, the tax year overview won't necessarily agree to the original SA302 or the original calculation. So that's when HMRC should send you out a revised calculation, and that would be the one you'd have to use for any mortgage brokers, etc. So what you must do is make sure the SA302 says it is 100% complete. When I do tax returns for people, I send them the draft SA302 or the draft HMRC calculation, and it only shows 90% complete. If you want it for mortgage purposes, then you do need to download your copy of it, which will show the filed amounts. So, how'd you get one? I'm glad you asked. So, you must have your own online digital tax account, and if you haven't set one up, then you can do it. So the first place you need to go to, if you Google log into your HMRC services account, this is what you'll have. So it says sign in to HMRC. And so you go to the sign in and then you get to this page, or you could just copy that link and go straight to that page. You would use your Government Gateway user ID, which you would have obtained when you first set up your account. It came to you in big white letters on a green background, but if you set it up in the last few years, I think 2 or 3 years, you will also have received it via email. So, which is great. So at least then you've got it, assuming you've kept your emails and not deleted it or not lost access to it all. If you don't have your Government Gateway user ID and you've never set one up, then you will have to set up your online account, and that takes a while to do. Not only do you have the setup, etc., but then you've got to make sure HMRC can link it to your PAYE records. So set one up, check it in a few days' time after that, and if it's all linked in correctly, then that's fine. The added complication is if you then have to add self-assessment. That's the one that takes time to go through the HMRC systems. So if you've never set one up, that is a link to a YouTube video or a link to a video to say how to do it. It does assume a UK passport holder. Okay, so you log into your account and you might find you actually have 2 different accounts. It depends on what you use the Government Gateway for. So if you use it for self-assessment, you will get a business tax account. If you also use it for VAT, then that'll be part of the business tax account. And you also have a personal tax account, which is the one you will get initially when you set up. Okay? So it does depend on which system you end up logging into first. My one automatically takes me to the business tax account. You think, oh, great. So in the business tax summary, if I scroll down a bit, then I will get to how do I get to my personal tax account. So it's near the bottom of the screen of the business. So all I'm going to do is go, okay, thanks very much, and I will click on view your personal tax account. Now, this is what you see, as I said at the top. You will see the first part is PAYE. I have self-assessment set up. I also have national insurance set up. Now, the SA302 comes in under self-assessment. So you want to click in the blue bit at the top that says self-assessment. What you don't want to do is click any of those other options in here. So you're just going to click this self-assessment bit here and ignore all these items down here. If you click on those items down there, you'll get yourself lost and it won't tie with the video. Okay. So this will then tell you your unique tax reference number. I'm not telling you mine. And then you have 3 options for the latest tax return. Down further on the screen is how you can get to previous years. We'll come on to that. So this is nice and happily telling me I filed my 2019-20 tax return. Woohoo! So that's great. I'm okay. I've done it. So what I want to do is I want to take the third option there, and that is get my SA302 tax calculation for that year. Okay, so click on that. And the first thing it'll say, well, I can only show you this if you used the HMRC filing system. At the moment, for all my clients, I am using the HMRC filing system. And if you do your own tax return, you are also using the HMRC filing system. So it's through that website. If you use an accountant that has used commercial software, you will not be able to get your SA302 off the HMRC system. That is when you have to phone HMRC themselves, or you have to go back to your accountant and ask them to produce the tax calculation from their software. Mortgage brokers and Mortgage companies are used to having different styles of SA302 depending on the software used. I like to use the HMRC system, A, because it's free, it doesn't increase my fees to you guys, and you can get access to your stuff without having to, be embarrassed and ask me. So you are going to click continue to your SA302, and this is the first part that pops up. Obviously, I have removed my figures. I don't want you seeing what profit I make. Oh, no, no, no. And it will start to list all the income you have from the various sources. Further down the screen, it will show you how much your income tax was, how much Class 4 and Class 2 national insurance is, whether you've got tax on savings. All that is detailed in this calculation. So as you scroll down to the bottom, there will be a print your calculation button, which is really handy. So you can print that and it will allow you to print it, physically print it, or you can print it to PDF. So you think, whoop-de-doo! Okay. Having done that year, if you want other tax years, then you have to go back to when you logged on, and you'll see something called tax return options. And when you go through to that, you'll then be able to see you've got various different tax years. So the tax return options will be a menu on the right hand side. Okay. So your tax return options, you can pick what year what you want. So if you click on the down arrow here, select the year you want, and then select go, you'll be able to bring up the next or whatever year you need. Okay, so I have selected my year to 2019. You think, great. So I can see that it was issued to me on the 6th of April. These are my deadlines for filing. I submitted that 2018 on the 29th of January. They accepted that they received it on the 29th of January. And then I did an amendment on the 29th of September because some figures, if they are only provisional, you can mark a tax return as provisional and come back later within the filing amendment deadline and amend it. So I can do that, and then I can click on View Return. And it will come up with, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to view the return? Do you want to look at your calculation? Do I want to pay the bill? I've already paid the bill. It's okay, I don't need to do that. So what we're going to go for is I want to view my calculation. Okay. So, and this again will be completed. All my numbers should be in there. Obviously they're not. Protect the innocent, which is me. And then what you end up doing is thinking, okay, that looks all right. You can then go to view and print your calculation. And it was exactly the same as you do before. You can print it. It might expand it into a much bigger calculation through it, but again at the bottom there will be a print option, and you can either physically print it or you can print it to a PDF. Okay, so that is how to get your SA302, but that's only part of the problem. Mortgage brokers ask you for the tax year overview. Okay, we can do that. So you'll see the menu on the right hand side. Depending on where you are, you might have to go back to the self-assessment section, but there is something called View Account, and if you click on View Account, it will then open up, so here's View Account, it will then open up a few more items down here. So current position will tell me what I owe at the moment, which will just repeat that I've overpaid. There was a reason for that, because I couldn't remember how much I owed, so I decided to pay too much, and I know damn well they'll hold on to the money until I next have to make a payment. But if I then click on tax year, this will then allow me to select which tax year I want to look at. So I want to look at, well, I don't particularly want to look at the year 2020 to 2021, but that tends to be where it defaults to. So I would select the year as before. I would then go through and say print your tax year overview, and again you can physically print it or you can save it to a PDF. Okay. Now, some people think if they're in their personal tax account, they can view something like this. View your annual tax summary. Now, you would have thought that would give you the same view as what you'd have for the self-assessment, but it doesn't. It's kind of a bit useless, really, to be perfectly frank. But I'll show it to you anyway, but all I can say is do not use the personal tax account to think that you can find your tax year overview. What it gives you is you click on view your annual tax summary. It then asks you to select a year. So I'm going to select 2019 to 20. It comes up with this kind of summary. You think, yeah, where's my detail? You end up going to, what's your income and taxes? And then it just gives you this. So it would tell me what my total income was. Oopsie. Oh, I didn't want to do that. There you go. It would tell me what my total income was. It would tell me what my personal allowance was. It would tell me my tax and national insurance, etc. This is not what mortgage brokers want to see. They want the proper tax year overview. Okay, this is okay if you've got nothing else. So if you're not self-assessment, and you're only PAYE, then you should just be sending them P60s. But this will give that at the point, but it's no use if you are self-employed or if you are a landlord. Now, there is an option, is you can ask your accountant or your tax agent. They have access to your accounts, otherwise they wouldn't be your tax agent. And they should have access to the SA302. But again, it depends on whether the accountant that you used or the tax agent you use the HMRC online system, or if they used commercial software. Even tax agents, if a different accountant or tax agent has done it, they can go into your account, but they cannot do anything with it. They can't see the old calculations. So just beware that if you are planning to change accountant, if you are planning to get a mortgage or potentially rent somewhere, make sure you keep this data. You have to keep it for 7 years anyway, but make sure you keep it very safe because it will come in useful. A tax agent will be able to get the the tax year overview no matter how the data has been stored, so they can get you that. However, some tax agents or accountants will charge. I will be charging from April 2021 because it's just the time involved in doing it. You have to stop what you're doing and then work out where you are, try and find the data, lots of reports to print. Yes, it might only be 15, 20, 30 minutes, but it still takes time. And if everyone did it, you'd be sunk. So anyway, so tax agents may charge for it. So this has now given you the tools to go and try and pull it yourself. So if you have any questions, then feel free to lob me an email and we can take it from there. Okay, thanks very much.